Hello, hello, lovely people of both LinkedIn and YouTube. So, just a quick reminder for those of you who don't know yet, we are live streaming simultaneously to LinkedIn and to YouTube. So, if you want to watch some of the old interviews and you don't want to go through my newsfeed on LinkedIn, you can just go to YouTube, type in my name, you'll find my channel. While you're there, you can subscribe, like, share, and you can watch them all there. They're neatly organized in a playlist called LinkedIn Lives. And without me going too much into random rambling, well, happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday, Chengeer. And welcome to the show. And my first question is, if you can please just quickly introduce yourself to the audience, and then we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Happy Monday, everyone. LinkedIn, YouTube, Miha, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's an honor. My name is Chengeer, and if you ever visited my LinkedIn profile, I've been through different walks of life, but at this point, I'm very privileged and blessed to be a talent partner at CaseWare. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Thank you.
Okay, so a very quick introduction, Chengeer. Well, the title is Talent Acquisition and Recruitment. So let's start at the beginning. What is talent acquisition and recruitment? Because a lot of people are still not familiar with the HR processes. So maybe if you can do a little introduction, what it is and why it is so important for us entrepreneurs to understand talent acquisition and recruitment.
Absolutely. So I would say the main difference, like recruitment and talent acquisition, are pretty much the same thing. The only difference I would say is that recruitment is placing people, filling the jobs, and talent acquisition is a more strategic version of that, right? So there are like long-term business goals, and you need to acquire talent that would be in alignment with the long-term business strategy. And I think that's important for everyone. It's like your audience, and understand it, mostly entrepreneurs. I think for everyone it's important because people do the job, right? The most important and the most crucial part of business is hiring. And if we do this right, we succeed in business. What are your thoughts?
No, I absolutely agree with you. But Chengeer, I don't know what's your experience. When I talk to fellow entrepreneurs, I very often see that they are very focused on what I would call front end, marketing, sales. Then, they do take care of the delivery of what they sold most often. But then when we move past that to customer experience and then to back office stuff, like HR, legal, accounting, finances, all of those back office things, I don't know, I guess they're not sexy. They're not directly revenue generating. Well, I mean, if you have salespeople, yes, they are generating revenue. But, most often those back office things are on a back burner. And until it's often too late and they enter a more scaling phase, when things get a little bit crazier. And one of the things that becomes crazier is having the right people to work for you and alongside of you. And then that's where they are like, oh shit, I forgot to do the HR properly. What do I do now? So I think it's really important that we talk about talent acquisition and recruitment because it's so many times overlooked. And then when it's almost too late, then people are willing to make a whole lot of compromises because they need somebody yesterday. And then, they go for the skills, not for the values, not for the soft skills, personality traits. And then you don't have company culture fit, and like a whole craziness can happen out of that. So I really would love for you to walk us a little bit through, what would be the proper process to have in place when it comes to talent acquisition. Why would we need it? How do we approach it? All of those little details that can really change how you approach talent acquisition.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's a great question. First of all, I think, like, in our language, we have we have an expression that the fish starts rotting with the head. I think that's the kind of important kind of mindset, right? You need to change the mindset, right? You need to go, like, when you talk about talent acquisition, you need to have a mind shift. First of all, you have to be constantly recruiting. It's not like, hey, we need this person, like this person left, we need to backfill urgently, we start recruiting phase. No, like, and that's like the first mindset of talent acquisition. Recruitment is going on constantly, right? Second thing, in order to be effective in it, like hiring managers should be engaged, like as you said, right? For example, for entrepreneurs, sales and marketing is very important. But who are doing sales and marketing? Those are doing salespeople and marketologists, marketing specialists, right? If you place the wrong people there, no work is ever being done, right? So I would say when it comes to effective hiring talent, there are so many things that you need to get right. It's employer branding, right? How do you position your business and how do you position yourself? How do you attract the right type of talent? So within employer branding niche, there are like small subcategories that have to be addressed. How do you, what is job branding? What is candidate experience? And how do you provide that, right? But also, like on the hiring itself, there are different frameworks that you can follow. Hiring for performance, hiring for potential, and hiring for attitude, right? So like different schools of thoughts that you can kind of learn and combine together and implement a system that would work for you. I, of course, can share a couple of thoughts about each framework.
No, yeah, please do. I mean, because like I said, when I talk with fellow entrepreneurs, but those are more, let's say, earlier stage entrepreneurs who've been in business for a couple of years. Maybe they've grown to, 10, 15, 20 people. 10,
Mhm.
15 people, it's completely different ball game than having 100 people. With 10, 15, you know all their names, you know the names of the wives, the kids. I mean, it's a different thing. You develop that friendship, but then once you pass, I don't know, 30, 40, 50, things become a little bit more complicated and you need some structure in place. And yeah, so please do dive in.
Absolutely, right. So, for example, for the organization like CaseWare, 400 plus people, right? We have a team who are called People Ops. The People Ops team is divided into two counterparts. One is talent acquisition, which is my team, right? A team of recruiters who go out there and bring talents. And another counterpart is talent retention team, right? So those are the people who are responsible for internal processes, and they make sure that the talent that they attract stays in the company and continues delivering, right? They ensure the return on investment. So I would say, like, it doesn't matter, even if you're a small scale startup, like 20 to 50 people, you need to have some version of that, right? It could be like one talent person, one talent retention person, for example. All right, but there should be you cannot leave like all the processes without having a designated person in place. So when it's coming to like the frameworks that I've mentioned, how to hire. So for hiring for performance, I would definitely recommend to take a look at the work of Lou Adler. Right, he's on LinkedIn. He has a LinkedIn course on LinkedIn. He has written books like Hire with Your Head and Hiring for Performance. That's the framework. Basically, he's running interviews within two questions, like what's your biggest accomplishment, and giving a problem to a candidate and asking him to think aloud, like walk through this thought process, for example. So having these two questions, you can really build a good system. Like it's a good conversation starter to understand like what the performance like. Because high performance, they always like to put their achievements first. They always like to talk about those things, right? Another framework, hiring for attitude. This is also kind of addressing the problem that there's a lot of problems with retention down the road. Like we hire the right people who have the right tech skills, but for some reason, like we have a lot of churn down the road. Just because the person doesn't have the right attitude to the job, they don't feel passionate, they don't feel in alignment with the company's mission, they don't feel in alignment with the company's culture and all that jazz, right? So there is the whole framework of questions that you can ask people when you attract them, and uh, to kind of bring on board the right type of people, right? And the last one is hiring for potential, right? Uh, Surprisingly, right? For sometimes like people come from a very like I don't know. I guess I myself can be a very good example of that from very different walks of life, but for some reason they can be very good hires for your company. Hiring for potential comes from three things: is ambition, right? A certain vision for yourself, what people, an ability, and commitment, right? So ambition, you can ask about the vision of the person. How does he see himself down the road? If the vision is in alignment of what you have pictured for this particular role. Ability, not only what the person can do right now, but what the person will be able to do down the road. This contains like elements of general cognitive ability, because it doesn't matter from if you have like a little bit of experience or a lot of experience. No one like they have this expression, right? Hit the ground running. No one hits the ground running. Everyone has a learning curve, right? The question is, does the person learn fast, right? So learnability, this is the skill that has like the highest value on the job market. And lastly, commitment, right? You need to always ask things about what are the values, what will the make person commit, or if we rephrase this question, what's important for you, right? And then if you put this question, if you put all questions in kind of a more how should I put it, more conversational flow and a more kind of even in a sense coaching flow, right? You can get a lot of valuable information from the candidate.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, those are some really good points. But let me ask you, how
Hmm.
can an entrepreneur decide what's more important? Is it which one should they go for when they're hiring, when they're doing the recruitment, or
Hmm.
is a blend of all three options better?
Hmm.
Like, how would you approach it? Or is it
Absolutely.
title by or role by role specific for different roles? We go for here, we go there. Like, how do you think when you're doing talent acquisition at your company?
Hmm. All right. So there are many things to cover here. So first of all, every entrepreneur, he will be familiar with marketing practices, right? One of the most common marketing practices is building personas. So you can apply the same tool here. What is the persona, right? Who is this? Um, who is this person? What are the must-haves? What are the nice-to-haves? What are the qualities do you think will the person possess from like the must-have standpoint, right? Uh,
Yes.
so this is one thing you can do. You can build a persona. We call it a perfect candidate profile. Another variable here in this equation is a product. It's called the productivity date, right? All hiring situations, they're different. So you need to understand like, okay, do I have a capacity to bring in this person? And like, okay, I will train them, and within 1 year, 2 years, they will grow into the senior position. Or another scenario, oh no, one person left, and like one accountant left, and I need this accountant immediately. Right? So this productivity date was going to be much shorter. I need this person to bring in and start contributing, start taking 100% responsibilities, like uh, for the results, right? Technically. So productivity data is another thing to keep in mind. Third thing is the job description, right? Um, this is what you're gonna see a lot, like on what's going on the job market. People post not job descriptions, but they post people descriptions, right? The person must have 5 years of experience. They need to have this skill set. They need to have this kind of knowledge. But it's all about people. Whereas, like the really effective job descriptions will be focused on the job itself. What is the job that has to be done, right? This is what Lou Adler calls key performance objectives. Post the job itself, right?
I agree with you. So when
Hmm.
I work with entrepreneurs, we separate. So one is an internal document. I call it
Hmm.
the ideal role avatar, like ideal client avatar or ideal role avatar. So there we describe hard skills, soft skills, and personality traits of that particular person that we're looking as the best fit for that role. And then a separate document is a job posting, which should be describing the job, not the person. But you have to kind of like connect the two dots together, but it's two separate documents. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's how I usually tell them to do things. So to understand who they are looking for.
Absolutely. So like, I understand. I will explain like what's the kind of general flaw with this kind of thing. Like when you use a people description, like you will say something like, we needed someone with excellent communication skills. What every person, like I've never met anyone who would say like, oh, I don't have great communication skills. We believe that we do have great communication skills. What is a communication skill on the job, right? And this is where you'll put a bullet with a clear key performance objective. Like let's say, how does that look like on the job? You say, you need to present to internal and external stakeholders, and you need to collaborate, let's say, with developer teams, right? So, okay, so this is I understand, and I don't need to write communication skills in the job description because I put it on the job, right? And a lot of things like this. Every time you want to put a skill, think what is the skill look like on the job. A really couple of good questions that you need to ask yourself before you put the job out there is what does the success look like on the job, especially like 6 months and 12 months, let's say, on the job. What does the person should have delivered by that time, right? And if this is very effective because first of all, you don't disqualify people on what they have done in the past. You attract broader range of talent, a bigger pool of talent who can possibly do the job. And also you disqualify everyone who will read and who will say, well, this is something I can't do. And they will not be applying for the job description, right? For the job, just because of the way the job description is structured. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it absolutely makes sense. I mean, I love the examples that you're giving along the way because, one thing is to say how things should be in theory, and another thing is to like give like this very simple, easy to understand examples of, how do we describe a particular scenario. I like how you're approaching with the OKR thinking, with key performance objections. But did you find that you can put those in place for any role? Often, like why I'm asking this, often when it comes to salespeople, it's really easy to figure out the KPIs. You need such and such amount of sales or so and so many sales calls at the conversion rate of this and this. But then when we move over to supporting roles, entrepreneurs are often a little bit lost on how to KPI that. And then they just go with, oh, I need you to work 8 hours a day. And that is proving to be a little bit tricky now because of the Corona thing, where we are like so many people are working remote and you don't have the same level of control over the workspace. And they are a little bit lost on how to translate the amount of hours to KPIs. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So this is the concept of so-called ROWE, results-oriented work environment, right? So all kind of, especially modern workplaces, they will be ROWE, results-oriented work environments. For example, like my company, for example, 100% remote, right? No one is standing behind your back controlling you, right? But everyone's looking at your results, right? What do you deliver? If you deliver, it doesn't matter how you work. Like if I feel like it's comfortable for me to wake up at 5 a.m. and do my job, right? And like by the time I have like at 9 a.m. normal people start work, right? I have something done. Let it be. Like if someone is in night all and like cramming in nights, so that works for them. With salespeople specifically, and like for every particular role, you can kind of segment it, right? But for salespeople specifically, it's much easier to do, right? Because you can assign specific KPIs. Here's your territory. Here's the quota, right? For account managers, let's say, here's the time you need to spend on the calls. Here is your like licenses that you need to renew, right? So for this is what I'm saying, like, what is the job? The job is a set of problems. How does we bring this problem solver to solve these problems for us? How do we translate it on the job description, right? This is the work that has to be done, right? Within 3 months, 6 months, 12 months framework, right? And then kind of you can go from there. But really, like I would say, like the key point here that I want to bring is to wrap your hand around this, creating this results-oriented work environment, right? When this is also a criteria when you're going to be bringing in people, you want to, as we call, right? We all want self-disciplined, self-motivated people with great time management skills, right? Time management is also like a separate topic, right? There is no such thing as time management. There's only priority management, right? We find time for everything we think is important, right? So the question is, what is important? What has to be done?
I like that approach. I mean, what you're saying. So, can you give us maybe? Can you think of a few examples in the more harder roles to put KPIs onto, and maybe just give us a few examples so that the audience can get an idea on how to put that KPI on maybe a role that they haven't thought is even possible.
Absolutely. Well, that will depend again very much on the role, on the specificity of the role. There are too many jobs out there, but first thing that you probably need to do, like, what is the mindset of the person, right? There's like even for salespeople, there are hunters and farmers, right? What is the mentality of the person? Do you want someone out there to go out and bring you new logos? Or do you want someone who kind of nurture your clients and grow your account portfolio over the time? There is a mindset between builder and maintain, like someone who does the maintenance, for example, right? The builder person, he's gonna come. He needs to build the whole system ground up. The person who didn't have this experience before, he won't be able to do it. So this is something you need to screen for, right? What is the did he have this kind of experience? Did he come into the company and have built this, like whatever it is, right? It can be sales operations. It could be like pricing, for example, right? So this is something we've learned from our experience. Again, if this is a person who doesn't need to be a builder, right? What kind of in terms of maintenance, right? What kind of maintenance has to be done? You can build all your KPIs and key performance objectives around these things, right? What has to be maintained, how long, what is the end result? Hope this helps a little.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it definitely does. Chengeer, you mentioned, at the company you're currently at. What do you guys do? Or is that too much to ask?
Oh, no, absolutely. CaseWare is a proud provider and leader in the industry of providing software for accounting firms and internal audit firms, from mid-sized accounting firms to enterprise corporate. We have clients among Big Four to the governmental level. So we've been around for 30 years. In the industry, we are considered pretty much a golden standard with 90% market share in Canada. And right now, like the whole industry is very ready for transitioning from desktop to cloud, and CaseWare will be leading this migration. This is what we do.
Okay, very interesting. Well, but what are some of maybe your passions? I mean, are you building something for yourself on the side of the work that you do, or you're just passionate about talking about HR stuff, and this is just something that you like doing in your, let's say, extra spare time?
That's a good question. Um, I think I'm just built to serve, right? And uh, it is a mixture of both, right? At some point, there is so much stuff accumulated here that you start sharing. And another reason why, like, also I myself, when I came to Toronto, right, I didn't know anything, right? I didn't know anything about Canadian style resume, about networking, about elevator pitch, about LinkedIn. I came to the country, I had zero connections, right? That was October 2019. And I think like I learned everything hard way, and I think because I did, and because uh, I had this like experience, it is my duty to share. So for all these people who are struggling out there, landing jobs, trying to kind of navigate their way in the job market, it doesn't have to be that way, right? There are people who went the hard path, learned their stuff, right? There are certain things that's been proven in practice that they can work, right? We are ready to give back. LinkedIn, like you, Micha, as well, there's plenty of people out there who just live to serve, right? Reach out, ask for help. Like whenever we can, we will help.
No, you're absolutely right on that. Well, I do want to ask you if it's possible. I mean, I know a little bit about your story because we had a call prior to the interview. But do you think it's possible to just say a few things about your story because it really is interesting in the next couple of minutes?
Absolutely. Probably should have started with that, but my story, nothing remarkable really. I'm Korean by blood, born and raised in Kazakhstan. My mother tongue is Russian, and by training, like I'm a researcher. Like since I was a kid, I always asked my parents very uncomfortable questions, and they bought me books and didn't answer my questions. Just told me to read stuff. But yeah, it got me into science. I finished bachelor in chemistry. Went to lived in Canada for a while in Regina and Montreal. That was a really interesting experience. Came back home, finished my master's, and I realized that Canada changed me and I need to move on. And I went to start my PhD degree in South Korea. So I've done that for 4 years, and I realized that there's not enough pain in my life, so I began a startup. And for 2 years, I was doing that. So I know a couple of things about chewing glass. It was interesting experience. My startup was called Labit, and we wanted to create a platform that was like Airbnb slash Facebook for research labs, right? So put everyone there so that they could collaborate. A platform for scientific collaboration. Uh, uh, yeah, did that. It didn't quite work out the way we all wanted, but it was a school of life. I'm grateful. Wrapped up my things in South Korea. Met a girl. We got married. Fell in love. She said, "You told me so much about Canada. Let's go." And we arrived here in 2019 in October. My first job was as a job developer at JVS Toronto, right? So ironically, I was a newcomer, and now it was my job to help newcomers to land a job. Did a contract for 1 year and realized that talent acquisition is actually a very interesting path, and met my current manager on the vast plains of internet. So that was a blessing from above, and here I am today.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to ask you. You know, from being in the research and everything, how did you end up in HR? Like, what got you interested so much? You know, because you have the bachelor degree in science and stuff. How did that go? What was that key thing that got you into doing the HR and talent acquisition?
No, interesting. It's just by nature, you know. I'm a people's person. I was like probably I do have intellectual capacity to do science, but definitely not the patience. So it's just like I always love working with people, and this is, I guess, one of the manifestations of this passion. And yeah, if anything, like if I could like kind of integrate the message into my story, first of all, everyone freaks out when they see Asian face, and then I start speaking Russian. So this is something like for everyone out there, like if you feel that you face bias when you're being interviewed, right? This is your chance to flip the tables, right? Whatever you are, like white, black, yellow, brown, doesn't matter, right? What's the person behind it? What is the spirit in the body, right? That's your chance to put. Another thing I would say, another message is that it's never too late to begin again, right? I came here and just 30 plus years old, so I'm 32 right now, right? And I started my life from scratch, right? And I don't think it's too late. I think I'm excited every day to do these things. And
I'm absolutely agree with you. I made a huge reset on my life. What was it, like 4 years ago? So when I was 39.
amazing.
And yeah,
And
it was the best
like
thing I did.
And then since we're talking here, like in the context of again, as a fail coach, right? You have a great opportunity to learn from me, but failure doesn't exist, right? It's an inherent property of learning process, right? You like a baby doesn't walk and then fall down, and it's like, hey, walking is not my thing, right? People just walk. The babies just learn how to walk. They fall down and walk and walk and walk. I failed with so many things in my life, with my startup, with finishing my PhD degree, but I'm here right now. I'm happy. This is like the happiest phase of my life. I'm super grateful for everything I have right now, and it's just from now it's onwards. Sky's the limit.
That's so lovely to hear. Well, I'm down to my last two questions. So,
Sure.
number one, if this interview resonated with fellow entrepreneurs and leaders who might be watching this interview, who should and what is the best way to get in touch with you?
LinkedIn is the best way. I live and eat and breathe LinkedIn, so feel free to connect with me. I'm always there. I'm gonna reply to everyone, but I don't promise that it's gonna be in timely manner. But we'll definitely talk.
Perfect. Well, then my last question before we say goodbye is always the same. So, this is a conversation. So sometimes I ask a lot of questions, and sometimes I still miss asking certain things that my guest might want to share with the audience. So I call it the last golden nugget of wisdom, for you to share whatever you feel is important and we haven't covered it yet with the audience.
Absolutely. If you could get only one takeaway from today, for me, it will always be, I'll be saying like spiritual growth is the foundation of your career, right? You need to understand that you are not your thoughts, right? You know how Descartes said, like, I think, therefore I am. This is the worst delusion of the like ever, right? Thinking, it is just one property of the consciousness, right? So this is something you should go. I will not go like into deep stuff, but just if you can remember one thing, you're not your thoughts. Whatever the system of beliefs that you think is working, not working, everything can be sculpted. Like, so invest massively, whatever you are, like 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, like invest massively your energy and time into sculpting your identity. Like, if whatever you say is true for yourself, it's gonna be true if you believe in it, right? So um, be the great relationship builder you want to be. Be the great candidate that you want to be. Be the great manager and people leader that you want to be. The limitations are only here, and just remove the illusion of thought and keep going, keep creating your vision.
That is an amazing uh, golden nugget of wisdom. And yes, so very true. Um, you create your own reality. And whether you believe you can, you can. And if you believe you can't, you can't. So I really like how you ended this whole conversation. Well, unfortunately, this is like roughly 30-ish minutes. And I really do love the conversation we had so far. And you know what? Maybe we could just do another one and maybe jump into a topic of your startup and all the lessons that were learned through that. But maybe we can just keep that for next time, and say goodbye for now. And right now, I'm really grateful that you were a guest on my show, and I'm really grateful for everything that you brought to the table, uh, because it is an important topic and it's very rarely discussed in the entrepreneurship world, because it's the back office stuff, the not so sexy stuff, but it's very, very important for growth and sustainability of every company. So thank you for sharing all your thoughts with us. And yeah, I wish you nothing but all the best on your future journey.
Thank you very much, Mijo. Always happy to have this sit down with you. So thank you very much for this opportunity. And for everyone's watching, take care of yourselves, stay safe. Whatever the mess is going outside, it's temporary. Which everything is temporary. We shall overcome it.
Yes. Take
Take
care.
care.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Okay, guys. So another fantastic interview. Well, at least in my eyes. So I do hope that you guys liked it as much as I did. Maybe you saw a pattern in the last couple of interviews, that they were a lot focused on different aspects of HR. And that is mainly because when I'm talking to fellow entrepreneurs, I see how those back office things like HR and legal and finances and taxes and all of those things are not a priority until they become a huge urgency. And because I really want to open the platform to having these conversations about the topics that I do believe really matter. I was focusing a little bit more on those back office things in the last couple of interviews. So I hope you're all happy, safe, wherever you are in the world. We're still, in the craziness. And yeah, I invite you all, guys, back next Monday. Happy Monday today. All the best throughout the week. Don't forget, we have the YouTube channel as well. You can watch some of the past interviews there. While you're there, subscribe, like, share. You can, like and share and comment here on this post as well. Ask some additional questions. And yeah, feel free to really connect with Chengeer. I've only known him now for a little while, but he's a really valuable connection to have. So I would strongly encourage all of you to connect with him. But yeah, that's it for today. We are back next Monday with another great interview, and we'll just keep having these amazing conversations. And yeah, tune in, have fun, and enjoy the ride. Bye bye.